Hey, welcome back to the You Stay Listening and Watching Freedom Square Live on Solid 100.9 FM. And we've been discussing the Electoral Act 2026. The good side, the bad side, the prospects, and how we think it can help reshape our democracy. And we've been able to interrogate a lot of issues. Then I want to look at the political parties because it would appear, well, correct me if I'm wrong, that beyond the APC, there are no other political parties in Nigeria. For now, for today, I don't know about tomorrow. One, because Labour is in shambles, PDP is in tatters, and ADC wobbling. It is only the APC that is recruiting, in fact, it's like recruiting more players every other day. So, first, there must be a viable political party to have a viable process, a viable election. Now, this is at those sides. It's like there's nothing happening. Nobody's talking to anybody. So, what do you think must be done for our political parties to be alive? The other time we talked about parties not having agents, and I'm sure you know the reason. Some of these political parties were just parties in name, and that was that. They didn't have visible offices. They didn't mobilize their people. And part of what happened to Labour had the social movement, Labour Party, but they had no active people that could man their polling booths. Because when it was time for them to bring their own result sheets or say I'm the agent here, they were lacking. So they were more as social media warriors than they were practical politicians. So I don't know whether you're seeing what I've seen.
I'm seeing what you saw. I'm seeing what you saw.
Yes.
Let's look at the emergence or the history of political parties in Nigeria from the NNDP days in the 1940s to the 1920s to the days of NCNC, Action Group, NPC, Northern People's Congress. You could see that
NPN and PDP.
Yes.
And then PP.
No, I'm just coming. When you saw that first trajectory, you saw that they were based on ideology and regional lineage.
Yes.
That was the ideology driving them. And we saw that play out till the 1966. But when the democracy came back in 1979, the people who were the players in the 1960s were still around. So Azikiwe was still around, Awolowo was still around, Shagari, who was a very junior man in the 60s.
Aminu Kano them.
Aminu Kano, Abubakar Rimi, them were still around. All those guys were still around, you know. And because they were around, they were able to maintain some modicum of ideology too that was driven. So that's where we come to like PRP people like Abubakar Rimi that stood his ground, the Marxist guys, you know. Then we had, people who ideology drove what they stood for.
We even had lecturers, professors in the university, quote unquote, indoctrinate students as to
yes, exactly. So the socialists and the Marxists and the capitalists
and the rest.
They were there. They went to Mokadibo them were intellectuals that were, that have also got into power and the rest. But when we now, something happened after the 31st December 1983 coup. We now had Buhari, we now had Babangida, that dribbled all of us, from the diarchy, they didn't hand over. Then those things, Babangida played with he was one that brought this concept of new breed politicians.
Yeah, new breed.
And then at the end of the day, the breed was nowhere to be found. And until the until 1999. Now when we came to 1999, even though many of those people that come from the First Republic have gone, we now have their proteges. People like Musa Yar'Adua was around. People like Atiku Abubakar was now. People like Atiku Abubakar was now the boy to the Musa Yar'Adua then. Yes. And then we had the Kwame and this G34. We have the PDM movement. So
we had Jim Wobo.
We have people who came from that group that were, that oversaw, that transition.
And then had the bully guys.
They were still there. Yeah. The proteges of those First Republic guys were still around. So they were able to still maintain some vestiges of the political ideology based on, so that we had thriving things, those who formed along regional lines like the AAPP, that later became ANPP. Regional lines like the AD, the Alliance for Democracy, that were formed along regional lines, just like AG of those days. Then we have the pan-national groups like the PDP that so cut across, and we could see the checks and balances. Everybody, when it came to the Senate, it was a vibrant assemblage of ideological minds. Now those group left. 2003, some left. 2000, Bola himself was assassinated in 2001, 23rd December 2001. And other people started. So by the time we came full cycle, by 2007, when that set left, we started experiencing problems. A new set came in and the rest. By the time we were in 2015, the set that started benefiting, that were incubated in 1999 politics, started taking over gradually. So what we have remaining, maybe just a motley of like 30% of the old horse. And then when you go to the Senate, it's virtually people who were packaged from 1999
basically
are the ones that have taken over now. People like Gospel like Pablo, where was he in 1991, 92? So we could see that he was secretary to the government. He became, I think he was commissioner. Then he became governor, and then minister, then Senate president. So we could see that his political trajectory is basically 1999. And many other people now that are in charge of our affairs. These 1999 people lacked that depth, political depth, that the people in the First Republic and Second Republic had, and Third Republic had. So the parties they now started forming, these 1999 incubators, when they started forming, of course, followed their personalities. There were no ideologies anymore. It became transactional democracy.
it became fluid political parties. They keep
Transactional is where the money goes. Just like the person who imports container. Oh, this one they go market, they go importer. This one we go at the end of the day, it's about making the money for the merchants. So it became a mercantile politics, transactional. So it was not based on any ideology anymore. So political parties were now formed on the basis of what you can get from the system.
Who gets what, how, and when.
That is now what, not democracy for the people, by the people, and for who again. So that is the crux of what has affected. So what happens is that, these people are no more paying my dues. Oh, this is where the real deal is now. This is where we gain more, you move. Even without, a lot of them don't consult their constituency. Their constituency read this in the newspaper like any other person. Okay, so they move. And then come back, shove it down your throat and say, we are moved. And you are assured of some things. So all political parties, for those who didn't gain from the system, this issue of also INEC giving money. In the 60s, one old woman was telling me how they were funding their parties. I was the MC in her birthday some years ago when she was making her 80th birthday to her children. So normally I meet my clients before their birthday, before I called them. As I was discussing with her, you know what she told me? That she was a member of AG in the 60s. And the way they formed their party is this. Everybody has a party card. So they pay monthly dues to the party. And she showed me the card. I was mesmerized. She kept it. Showed me the card, how much you were paying, how much was there, how many shillings that time. They marked it, Now, if you are paying those money and you have like 1 million members, every month you can see what the party is raking in. But something snapped. By 1999, parties were sponsored by individuals. Parties were no more sponsored by the party. So you became a governor, you were using money from somewhere to fund your party. So parties now became dependent on elected officials. So parties lost control. And it became very easy. And then INEC also has some money given to parties. So some people just are perpetual contenders. Every year they are in the ballot box. Because they are not there as contenders. They're there as pretenders. Register, collect the money, go. Some people go to Dubai and rest for 4 years. They come back again. And then that is how it is. So your question is really simple. We left political partying to political mercantile. And, so that is what has happened. Where parties are no longer relevant. What is relevant is the money bags that can run the party. or for the smaller parties, how much they can get. That's why they quarrel every day. Because when that money comes, whether from the individuals, from INEC, or from sponsors or whatever, the ability to seamlessly divide that money becomes a problem. And they enter crisis mode. In fact, some we have alleged to have sponsors of political parties to cause problem so that they can disintegrate. And that was what has happened. And that is why all the political parties that are the ruling class tend to have the upper hand in having more members. You can see what happened after that ANPP days and the rest. By the time we're tuning into the PDP still had the highest when they were ruling party. But by the time we came to the, you say, well, people are abandoning the ship because
So what do,
at
we
that
have,
point,
what do we have now, realistically?
What we have
do we
before
have
is-
political parties or political,
we have
or political party and others?
we have political associations and political parties. And what we have now is that we have now started seeing political parties that will say, oh, at the governorship level, we are promoting our candidates. But at the presidential level, we have endorsed so person. They don't have presidential candidates.
And they don't want to have.
And they don't want to have. Some they don't even have governorship candidates. They're just there in the name. And what they do is they call a prayer conference and endorse because they don't have candidates to come up. So in that way, it's transactional. They do what they become relevant, they do what they need to do, and then they get. So there's no one party state in Nigeria. What we have had is transactional democracy. People who are selling to the highest bidder. And tomorrow, when they converge like that, I tell people that by 2027 things will change. Because all those people that are flocked to the APC, when they don't get what they want and the rest, they move away again to who pays them higher and what pays them higher. Sometimes they'll tell them, okay, whatever you can still get something from it. So in essence, the political parties are not floated to provide good governance. They are floated to capture power. And when they capture power, it's for the benefit of those who were elected and those who are in power, not for the benefit of the masses.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we open the talk lines. If you are listening to us or if you are watching, the issue is how much do you know about the Electoral Act 2026? How much do you know about political parties? Which party do you know? Is it just the APC or are there other political parties? And the one that have names, do they exist in your locality? Are they alive or are they paper tigers? When we open the talk lines, let's have your thoughts.
Okay, people are already calling.
One, go ahead.
Okay. Let's start taking your calls. Hello? Yes, good morning.